Good morning, everybody, and happy Friday morning. I hope everybody has had a good week so far. Now, before we jump into the Royals and everything else, I have an ad for you. This is a sponsored video today, especially with everything going on in the world. This is important. Listen up. Let's talk about some online security, shall we? You guys all know who follow my channel that I was doxxed online. You know that my name, age, profession, location, and even my special needs son autism diagnosis was put out on the web. We know who did that, but it could have been prevented. So simple, just by using a VPN. And the VPN provider that I use is Atlas VPN. So what is a VPN? Well, that's simple. It's an encrypted tunnel that nobody can see into, including hackers, the government, and even your internet service provider. This makes sure that your online activity remains private and secure and free from outside interference. Atlas shields your identity from websites, apps, and services that want to track you. While some companies limit the amount of devices you can use, Atlas VPN allows you to use it on unlimited devices. It's also good for streaming. Let's say you're on Netflix in the United States, but there's a show that you really want to watch that's on Netflix in Europe. Just go onto your VPN, change your location, and you can watch TV in other areas that normally wouldn't be available to you. Right now, Atlas VPN has the best deal in the market. Get the most affordable online protection for just $1.83 a month plus 3 months extra with a 30-day money-back guarantee. To make sure, here's a link that you can scan just in case you're unable to find the one in the description box. You can also go into the video description below, but be fast. This is a limited time offer. So don't wait, you guys. Click the link and get secure with Atlas VPN. So depending on where you are in the world right now with what's going on, you may need to get on the internet and not let people know where you are. Link is in the description box, you guys. All right, let's jump in with our royals. We're going to start off with Princess Anne. She went to an outdoor center that's run by the UK Youth in Christchurch. She's a patron there, and it's called Avon Tyrell. Now, as part of her visit, she watched the kids do things like a climbing wall and a tree-top trail and other problem-solving tasks. She planted a tree in honor of her mother while she was there, and the CEO said, and I'm quoting, "We're delighted to have welcomed our patron, Her Royal Highness the Princess Royal, because her continued support of our work in delivering life-changing experiences for young people across the UK is unwavering and vital to us." Love it. I think this article really points out that you have to have alternatives for younger people to have some way to get into nature and outdoors, and that is important for social, emotional, and academic improvement, and it helps people get confidence and get out of isolation, and I just think the whole thing is really cool. I love stuff like this. All right, moving on. We're going to stick with Princess Anne because what she did was soldiers from the Household Cavalry Regiment. They had been in Cyprus, I believe it was for 6 months. And so they did a parade in front of their new standards for the first time. The Princess Royal then handed out operational medals. It's the Gold Stick Blues and Royals. She thanked every member of the regiment for their hard work on this tour, and she met all the families of those who had deployed. Next up, we're going to move on to Sir Tim Laurence. He was in France attending the opening of the New Zealand Liberation Museum. I think that's pretty cool. Now, he gave a speech, but of course the French TV was translating his speech into French, and so you couldn't hear a word he was saying. So here he is giving the speech, and I'm going to tell you what he said. Here we go. He said, "We have to remember what French people went through during World War I. Those people who came to free this charming and historic city did much efforts to protect the population and the architecture." He said, "I think that sends a very strong message." Yep. All right, next up we have Beatrice and Eugenie. So here's what's going. Neither one of them live there, okay? I believe Eugenie is in Portugal half the time. The point is, whenever they come into town, they go and stay at Frogmore so they could be at Windsor, but they don't want to move in permanently. So basically, Andrew was told, per this article, that if neither of the daughters wants to take up full-time residency there, they're going to put that house on the rental market because they can earn £360,000. That's about $600,000 per year for the rental. That's money in. What I don't understand is why the article says Andrew would have to intervene. They're both married with children of their own. They can handle it themselves. Moving on. All right, next up, I showed you this picture of Sophie, but what I didn't show you was the outfit. Thank you to Remoulade Sauce for this information on what she was wearing this day. Continuing on with her tour, Sophie then met with the Australian Embassy in Ethiopia, and they were discussing shared interests for the Commonwealth agenda. Now, she also met with other ambassadors, and this was to mark the 23rd anniversary of the UNSC Resolution 1325. Now, for those of you who don't know what that is, that was the first resolution ever on women, peace, and security. And a big thank you to Remoulade Sauce, as usual, for showing us everything Sophie was wearing. All right, now moving on. We knew the statement would come out eventually that Catherine and William put out a statement over what's going on between Israel and Hamas. And in the statement that they put out, they said the attack was appalling. They were distressed that these were devastating events that unfolded in the past few days. And it was an official statement. And they also put out and said that Israel is exercising its right of self-defense, and all Israelis and Palestinians will continue to be stalked by grief, fear, and anger in the time to come. I think that was a very nice thing to say, because essentially they're pointing out that it's the Israeli civilians and the Palestinian civilians that are going to be, the losers in this. Now, it wasn't long after this come out that I said to myself and on Twitter, now that William and Catherine have put out a statement, Harry and Meghan are absolutely going to put out a statement. There's no way they're just going to sit back. They have to throw their hat into the ring. Now, you guys know me. I always try to be fair. So let's be fair. First of all, they called them acts of terrorism and brutality, which even American outlets aren't doing. So I'm going to give credit where credit is due for that, okay? However, they also said some other things in this statement which kind of threw me. Okay, so a couple of things. First of all, the first two lines of a 7-line statement were Archwell, Prince, Duke and Duchess of Sussex. That was unnecessary, okay? Then the next thing they said was, we are supporting our partners and organizations on the front lines in Israel to provide aid. What partners? What organizations? I completely agree. There really was, as this person pointed out, there was no need for them to make a statement. They could have said something at the gathering that they were just in New York, absolutely. But let's be fair. People would be all over this if they hadn't made a statement. And as for what money, let's not forget they were given millions upon millions. They left like 10 or 11 million sitting in the account of Archwell. Maybe they'll actually part with some of that money. Do I think they'll part with $1 million? No, they get to keep 95% of that. I don't believe for one second they're going to give any major amount of money, but I'm sure they'll donate something. But as usual, we won't know how much until the tax filings. I think they had to say something. People just, but they don't represent anybody. They're not global leaders. They really didn't have to say anything, but people were expecting it. Now, Charles said that he was very concerned over the situation. He's being actively briefed on the developments, and, he's keeping up with the devastation. So now, as a side note, I have to tell you, I saw this, I was shocked. Forbes magazine, this is supposed to be a reputable magazine, put this up. Do you guys see that? Unprompted attacks on Gaza? Like, are you insane? I mean, you unprovoked, right? Okay. So going back to Harry and Meghan, I would have had more respect for them had they done something like this, like the king did. He had Chief Rabbi Sir Ephraim Mervis in for a private audience to look at different ways the interfaith harmony in the UK can continue. And I also think it's inappropriate for Harry and Meghan to start fundraising to try to help the war, because after all, they still have, 10, 11 million? I also don't like the fact that they didn't mention Palestine in their statement. Just my thoughts. All right, I just have a couple more things I wanted to discuss. These are really fast. First of all, this is in French. I know you can't read it, but France's Interior Minister, Gerald Darmanin, ordered that any foreigners who commit anti-Semitic acts have to be expelled from the country immediately, and 3 people have been thrown out so far. Way to go! Why aren't other countries doing that? And I have to bring this to the forefront before we go back to the royals. Apparently, 34 students at Harvard wrote a letter and signed it, blaming Israel for the Hamas attacks. So they're calling it Hamas Harvard. So here's what's happened. A digital screen truck is going around with the names of the students and putting their pictures up. It was launched by Accuracy in Media, who says it's very important to know who the hateful anti-Semites are and for people to know that their actions have consequences. All I want to say is when you graduate with that Harvard law degree, happy job hunting and good luck, because signing your name on that letter was the biggest mistake of your life. And now that someone's displaying your names, you're mad? Yeah, actions have consequences. Good luck finding a job when you graduate. Moving on. All right, now let's move on to Catherine and William. Now, they went to visit the Bisham Abbey National Sports Center today, again, as part of Mental Health, Week. But all anybody wants to talk about is the fact that Catherine had bandages on the same 2 fingers from when she injured her fingers. I don't know how long ago it was. Remember, she was jumping on the trampoline with her kids and she injured her fingers. So she had the bandages on, then she had the bandages off. Then she had them on again, then they were off again yesterday. Well, today they're on again. So, anyway, they arrived at the Bisham Abbey National Sports Center in Marlow, and the idea is to show how sport can help with mental health. So the first thing that Catherine did was go to a mental health workshop that was run by Sport Aid in conjunction with their charity partner named Believe Perform, and it helps support young sports people and their families with their mental well-being. After the workshop, the article says netball. I'm assuming they mean what we would call basketball. So the first thing that they did, they attempted to score points in a hoop while up against the clock. And then Catherine went head-to-head against William, as we know, to attempt to shoot while William defended the goalpost. Now, at that point, they both took part in a game of goal ball, which is a Paralympic sport. I'd never heard of it. The people have to wear, the eye shades, and you have to try to get the ball into the, into the goal on the other side. Now, Catherine did manage to get the pole in past the goalie, but William's ball was saved. So once again, she won, he lost. Now, just because I think everybody wants to know, you should know that Catherine said that she put what they call plasters, what we call Band-Aids, on just to keep her hands safe. She didn't want to re-injure. So anyway, they were leaving. William was cheering on his wife. Looks like they had a great visit. And once again, a big thank you to Remoulade Sauce. She was wearing those fabulous earrings again today. Moving on. Okay, this article I just wanted to point out, we already know she's latched on to everything Harry's doing because she's got nothing of her own. But did you guys know that they got booed yesterday during their 200-foot drive? Listen to this. Amazing. They couldn't even go 200 feet without somebody booing them. My God. All right. So the articles are coming out that Harry looks as bad as he did during his last weeks as a senior royal. But I'm going to let you guys be the judge. So these pictures are Harry when he was still a working senior royal. But in these pictures, he just looks flat out mad and angry in all of the pictures. In the pictures now, he looks to me completely and utterly defeated. He looks like an empty vessel. He looks like the life has just been sucked out of him. He is a deer in the headlights. Do you guys see that? And not only that, and thank you to the body language guy for this, but his entire body language is off. I mean, watch these videos. Look at his body language as he's speaking. Do you guys see what I'm seeing? Look at his left hand. He cannot stop rubbing his leg. I guess he can't rub his nose or play with his jacket like he used to. So instead now he's going to do this self-soothing, comforting thing by rubbing his leg. I mean, I don't know what to make of this. Like, what has happened to this man? And with that, I saw this comment on Twitter. Apparently, he's gone from being William's spare to Meghan's spare. And maybe he's just now realizing it. Wouldn't that be just a kicker? My gosh. Now, really quick, something else happened. There were people up on the panel. They were talking. They looked very upset. The one man was crying. Maybe one of his children is the one that passed away. So he comes down, he puts out his hand, and it's pretty obvious that he is reaching out to shake Harry's hand. And Meghan literally cuts him off. Okay, so here's a video, okay? He comes down, Harry puts out his hand, Meghan steps forward, Harry gets cut off. Here it is in slow motion. Look, Harry puts his hand out, and Meghan grabs him for a hug. Oh my God. And Harry's just standing there. As a matter of fact, did you notice Harry rubs his nose as he's nervous? Because that's what he does when this sort of thing happens. All right, you guys. Yeah. I don't know how he could sit there and even say anything while she was sitting across from him, glaring at him like that. You know what I'm saying? How could he even have made a cognizant thought while this was going on? I just can't imagine. All right, you guys, you know what I want. You know what I'm looking for. Put those comments in, make them good. If you've donated to my coffee fund or through the thanks button, thank you so much. And as always, have a great day.